The Truth Matters, a historic $787.5 million settlement between Dominion Voting Systems and Fox News, with Fox admitting to falsehoods in their coverage of the 2020 election. Joining us now to discuss is former federal prosecutor Neama Rahmani. Good morning, Neama. Thank you for joining us today.
Good morning, Giselle. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. So a historic $750 million settlement, staggering. Put into context how significant this moment is for journalism, democracy, truth in reporting.
Oh, it's a historic settlement, probably the largest defamation settlement in American history. And Fox had denied these allegations up until the jury was selected in this case, but there was a series of rulings by the judge that forced their hand. Judge Eric Davis said that the statements were false and that they were not newsworthy. So the only issue for the jurors to decide was, did Fox act with malice? Did they know the statements were false? Did they act with reckless disregard for the truth? And if so, what were Dominion's damages?
Right. So it seemed like they had the goods, but they settled anyway. And the settlement saved Fox News chairman Rupert Murdoch, particularly, and other top Fox News stars, Hannity, et cetera, from having to testify about knowingly spreading those falsehoods to viewers. How big a role did that play in Fox agreeing to this settlement to keep their star players and Murdoch himself from the stand?
Oh, that was huge. Dominion really tried to get Rupert Murdoch and his son on that witness list, and the judge agreed with them. Fox's lawyers, of course, tried to keep the chairman and the host off the witness stand. It would have been a very embarrassing testimony. The cross-examination would have been brutal. And Fox has a history of settling these types of embarrassing claims before they go all the way to trial. Of course, they've settled many sexual harassment lawsuits. So it's not surprising that this case settled. Really, the only surprise was that it took so long.
Right. A $787.5 million settlement. It's, again, staggering amount, but less than half of the $1.6 billion Dominion was suing for. Why not go all the way? You're a former federal prosecutor. How can you put a price tag on the truth, and wouldn't you want to go for it when you know you have the goods?
Well, sometimes you take the bird in the hand, and I know that it was about half of what Dominion was asking for, but damages in cases like this can be a little bit speculative. I mean, this isn't your typical case where you might have lost earnings or those types of things. We saw in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard lawsuit where, you're dealing with economists. They're going to have to come in, and it's really a question of what the jury is going to believe. But Fox isn't out of the woods yet. I know they have about $4 billion in cash reportedly on reserves, but they're still dealing with litigation from Smartmatic. They're dealing with shareholder derivative lawsuits. There's individuals around the country who have sued as well. So right. Dominion may have thought that the discretion was the better part of valor. Let's get that settlement. Let's get that money now and walk away.
Right. And the company's valued at like $40 million, so this is a windfall for sure. So there are critics, though, that say this was actually a win for Rupert Murdoch's, and Fox News viewers will likely not hear anything about it. There will be no apologies on air, and their statement admitting to some falsehoods was minimal. Why didn't Dominion at least insist on stronger apology or retraction on air?
Well, that's something that Dominion could have asked for during the settlement negotiations. I think Fox wanted to try to save face with their viewers. Obviously, the coverage there was very limited. And really, this is a question of, are they profiting on these lies? I mean, there's no question the judges ruled that these statements were untrue. Why do they keep persisting in, moving forward with these false claims that the 2020 election was stolen? I mean, it must be pandering to their audience, or there must be some business reason they continue to do so.
Yeah, that just hasn't been revealed yet. So how does this settlement then impact all those other cases that you were telling us about?
Well, it is a bellwether case, and I fully expect that the other litigants, the parties that are going after Fox, to be much more aggressive. And they've gotten favorable rulings. Now, the Smartmatic case is not in Delaware. It's in New York State Court, and other folks have sued in other courts. So that ruling isn't preclusive necessarily, but if you're a plaintiff and you're suing Fox, you have to be very happy about this result because you're probably going to get paid as well. I don't think Fox will let any of these cases go to trial.
So Marjorie Taylor Greene is defending Fox News on Twitter with lies and conspiracy theories. This is likely to continue to get politicized. So how does that further impact prosecutions moving forward? And does it have any impact on politicians who continue to promote those lies?
It does. There's individuals like Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, Mike Lindell, they're still in litigation with Dominion. They're not out of the woods yet. And obviously, politicians, they do have some sort of First Amendment protection, but, if you can prove malice, if you can prove that recklessness, if you can prove actual knowledge and damages, you can get damages from these individuals. So it's not just entities like Fox that have to be careful. Individuals that are spreading lies and misinformation can be civilly liable if they cause damages.
So there are some at Fox News blaming former President Trump for this mess. Does this settlement actually bolster the special counsel and Georgia investigations?
Potentially, yes. I mean, we know that Fani Willis in Atlanta is investigating the former president for these same lies and trying to spread that misinformation there. Jack Smith, special counsel, is as well in his role in Trump's role, of course, in the Capitol riot. So, I mean, this is something, the irony is that Trump has historically wanted to weaken First Amendment protections for media companies. He famously said, fake news and media organizations need to be held accountable. So the irony is he tried to chip away at these protections, and Fox, which really was one of his favorite outlets, was on the hook for these damages, where historically media companies haven't been held accountable like this.
Well, many see it as a victory for the truth indeed and for democracy. Former federal prosecutor Neama Rahmani, thank you. You're the president of West Coast Trial Lawyers Association, and we thank you for being here and lending us your vital voice. Thank you.
Thanks, Giselle.